right, welcome back to the latest episode of the Milogenics podcast. Here you have, as usual, Master Roshi and my partner in crime from New York.
Hey, Sensei.
And today we've got a very special guest. I've been fortunate enough to be able to have my cousin here on the podcast with us. She's been staying with me a couple of days, and I'm doing my best to try to be able to convince her to stay here in Atlanta, but unfortunately she is leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm very sad, but I'm happy at the same time that she's been able to stay with us, for as long as she has, and I'm doing my best to kind of show her around, Atlanta and what it has to offer. Just kind of like I did with you, Sensei, when you were here for some time. And so I wanted to bring her on because I wanted to get a different, fresh perspective on how things have been with Generation Z. So that's if you've been born after 1997 or so. And she's 22. She's beautiful. I'm not saying that because we have the same genetics, but I think it has something to do with it. But she's also very smart. She's going to school. She likes social work. She has played softball very, very well. She showed some of her skills off today on the field. And she is also interested in hookah as well. So
I
we got
am.
a chance to do some of that this past weekend, and it was hard for me to keep up. But but yeah, so she has a lot going on in terms of that school, and also also personal things as well. So hopefully we can get into some of those things today. Um, so I guess I'm gonna leave it to you, Sensei, to kind of kick it off and just kind of get us started.
Well, first off, thanks very much, Destiny, for taking time to meet with us today. We really do appreciate it.
Of
Uh,
course.
so what's going on right now? There's so much uncertainty. There's so many different challenges, and Master Roshi and I have been discussing some of the challenges that this pandemic has forced us to address. Uh, but we thought it might be exciting and different to bring someone else on in terms of the next generation. As Master Roshi said, he is obviously a millennial. I'm a Generation X, and by having you here, it gives us a different perspective of what humanity is going through. So I'm really excited about having you here and perhaps hear from you as a voice to that generation to give us a peek of some of the challenges that you're facing. So let me ask you this, Destiny. Um, at the time of the pandemic last year, this month, last year when we all became quarantined, how was it like for you then? How what was the what was the what did you feel when they said, well, the United States is closing down? You're not going back to work and you're not going back to school. We're going remotely. What were your what was your what were you feeling like? What were you going through?
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Well, honestly, unlike everyone else during the lockdown, I actually worked the entire pandemic. So at the time, I was working at a pharmacy. So I didn't really get that perspective of being home all the time, staying home. But it was really rough because while everyone else was home, I was still at work, being that I work
Mm-hmm.
in healthcare. It was kind of really hard because, obviously people have to come in, get their medication. I dealt with a lot of sick people who were
Mm-hmm.
tested positive for COVID, and I couldn't just turn them away. Obviously, that was my job. But as far as school, I think that was one of the most hardest situations that I had to go through because personally, I have to physically be in class in order for
Mm-hmm.
me to really pay attention and feel like I really want to be engaged in the class. Now, as far as remote learning goes, I feel like there are pros and cons to it. A lot of people like prefer
Mm-hmm.
having the remote learning in Zoom, but honestly, it's just so tough. Like, it's not the same. Professors are not as dedicated to helping you one on one.
Mm-hmm.
You have more of a chance of being lazy if you're
Mhm.
at home
Right.
because oh, I have my phone, I have my TV, I have such and such, my friends are texting me, so it's like you're not as easily engaged as you were to be if you were in physical class. So that's what really struck me like the hardest,
That's interesting.
being out of school.
So like the professors, did you notice that change in them? You
I
know.
definitely noticed a change in attitude and energy. And
Mm.
I feel like it's kind of selfish for me to also not understand their point of view because I can
Mhm.
understand as a professor it could be harder for them as well. You have to be at home teaching God knows how many kids.
Right.
But you can definitely feel the disconnect.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, and I could speak to that too, because like I remember when I was going for my master's degree in grad school, and it was interesting because we had two campuses. So we had a Manhattan campus, which is where I was going to, Sensei, and then we had another campus in Long Island,
Hmm.
right? And it was just a camera. So like the professor, I think he felt bad because he just kept coming to Manhattan a lot. So he was like, "Let me go to Long Island." So he went to like Long Island twice, but you could tell that it wasn't the same,
Right.
for the students there. Like they weren't receiving the same kind of treatment that we were, because we were
Hmm.
right there. Like we would get the jokes, we would see the facial expressions and things like that, and that's part of the whole like process. So I get it. I really do get. So it's interesting you say that like you felt more it was school that really was more detrimental,
Hmm.
for you than like actual work.
Right.
But I want to talk about like those people that you encountered. So like did they have like was there like plexiglass or anything, between you and the customers?
I'll be very honest. New York didn't really start, not everywhere. Obviously, some places more than others were taking more precautions. But when I started, man, there was literally nothing to stop the
Mm,
patients from us,
mm-hmm,
It was just literally you come in just like a regular day. There was no plexiglass, not a plastic, anything. So
mm,
for a while, we were just continuing to work how we were before.
mm-hmm,
And I guess like we didn't really take anything too serious,
mm,
honestly, until people really started getting sick. We started seeing rates and numbers go up.
right.
See that it was something that was really serious, as opposed to what people were saying on TV or on social media. So it was definitely crazy, man. We were just working like if nothing was going on.
Mm. Did
So,
Go ahead,
so
Sensei.
let me ask you this: how long did it take, for example, for your business, the people of the folks, the company that you were working for? We don't have to name who they were,
Mhm.
but for these industries that you were working with, how long did it take for them to start taking this thing serious and providing you um, the type of support that you needed in order to keep yourself from getting sick?
Well, I'll be honest, it took months. It really
Mm,
took months. They
Mm,
weren't the type of people to take things as serious. I really think it was a money issue as well.
mm-hmm,
So I feel like during the pandemic, we were losing a lot of patients. People are more like trying to be at home, weren't trying to come into the pharmacy to pick up medication,
right.
or we're even changing locations to places where they can go and get it delivered, or something that was quicker for them, more convenient. So I think that's really more what it was.
So the customers were like responding much quicker than the business could to the change and the fact that
Right,
people wanted to be more cautious,
right.
instead of coming to the pharmacy. That I know is kind of stepping out a little bit, but like, have you personally known of people that have been lost due to, COVID in your circle or like your outer circle of people?
Um, as far as like a personal disconnection from life, I feel like a lot of people have lost themselves within the pandemic.
Hmm.
I mean that in any way possible. Jobs. A lot
Hmm.
of people have been losing jobs. I even lost one of my jobs recently due to the pandemic because they didn't have enough money to pay everyone.
Hmm.
So the young generation, we really depend on, having a job at this time because we're trying to get through school. We're still young. We have like a whole bunch of, and in New York, we don't have a lot of, we might seem like we have a lot of opportunity, but us as young people, we don't feel that way.
Hmm. And do you think that the reason for that is just that, like, like me and you, Sensei, when we were like younger, one of the problems that we faced was just like people would look at us like, we were immature, inexperienced. Is that still kind of the same?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's kind of the same nowadays.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that.
Okay. Okay.
you know, So let me ask you this. So now after you got the after after months of them providing you the I guess the masks and everything else, did did you see did you see anybody within your circle of folks that you worked with perhaps getting sick because of the lack of support that you were getting? Did you see any? Did you experience any of your friends perhaps getting sick outside of the workplace? Anything like that?
Yeah, so actually, one of my supervisors
Hmm.
got really sick. She actually got COVID, but that's because, they weren't taking the proper precautions and
Right.
measurements for obviously the pandemic and everything we're going through. So, of course, in such a small setting, everyone is very close to each other. So
Hmm.
before anyone created the 6 feet distance or anything like that, before it was known, everyone's working in the same vicinity. We're touching stuff, passing it around.
Hmm.
We didn't have like masks all the time. Sometimes we'll wear them halfway.
Right.
They weren't very like strict when it came to like wearing masks and hand sanitizer, things like that. So honestly, like 3 people there got sick.
Hmm.
We got stuck with like 4 member staff for like 2 months. We just had to work like that.
And what were you used to before? Like how many people?
Honestly, the business would only be max 11,
Okay.
but we would usually have 6 to 7 people on the floor at a time.
Right.
So 4 people is really not a lot when you have to do multiple jobs, and then everyone's getting sick, so that means we're getting more clients in. We
Hmm.
have to send out more medication. We have like a heavier workload. It was really hard.
So not only did like school change for you, but also work change
Work.
for you. What other things do you feel like had a big impact, on your daily kind of life as well?
Hmm. I want to say like my friends or my circle
Hmm.
as well. Like relationships with other people have changed due to the pandemic. A lot of people are not trying to hang out as much,
Hmm.
do things like that. So I felt also a disconnect with my friends because we weren't really speaking or seeing each other. Everybody has their own life. Most of my friends, honestly, were working from home or unemployed.
Hmm.
So I was lucky enough to still have a job during the pandemic.
Hmm.
That's why I wasn't like, complaining too much. But it was definitely hard when you really need someone to speak to at a time like that
Yeah.
and you can't really connect with your friends like you used to. Definitely hard.
Do you feel like like your friends? And I know Sensei, I think this changed for you too. I think we spoke about it in terms of family. Like, do you feel like you got closer to your family or like, just closer to some people? I know like there was some distance, but did that maybe change for you too?
Yeah, I definitely feel like being around my mom more.
Hmm.
I definitely got closer with her relationship wise because I was always at work or at school. So
Mm.
now that it was a pandemic and I couldn't really hang out on the weekends or go travel to see my friends in college and stuff like that, or I wasn't playing softball. So I'm basically home. So I had more time to, speak with my mom and connect with her on like a deeper level.
Okay. I feel we got closer too,
Yeah, we
since you're
did.
here.
We
I,
definitely did.
cause it's been so hard to keep up with her, and I get it. She just has a lot going on.
Of course, she's young and awesome. I remember being young and awesome. I always had something going on.
You're still
Uh,
awesome,
did, did,
man.
not as young, but still a little awesome. Thank you, I appreciate it. Was your mom also at home, or or she was working out outside of her home?
My mom was also home.
I see. Okay, so that helped. That did help you get through this. Have you tried to engage with your families or friends, perhaps through some Zoom activities? I know, for example, at one point, it kind of fell off the radar now, but in the beginning, we were having um, like happy hour on Fridays, where we would, Zoom and have our individual drink, and then just, have the radio on and talk nonsense for an hour or two. Did you and your friends create an environment like that where you can get together, or what, or did you do anything else? How was it for you?
Funny that you say because me and my friends, not so much on Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
but we would group FaceTime a lot.
Mm.
So like somebody would shoot a text like, "Hey, on Wednesday is everyone free at this time so we can all speak and connect with each other, because we're not speaking as often."
Right.
And I don't know about everybody else and their friends, but me and my friends are very close. Like we were
Mm.
constantly with each other, making plans to do things, try new things in the city, go out to eat. So it was kind of really hard for us. I feel like especially when you're young, you need that environment around. You need
Mm.
friends with you. Like, so we were definitely doing like a group FaceTime. Sundays we will have like a fake brunch.
Mm.
Everybody get your drinks, come on for like 2 hours and just speak, because we need that. That's what really kept us going.
Right. Right. And I mean, were these friends like friends you grew up with, or like from school, or?
Well, they are actually some friends that I made at like my second job I've ever
Okay.
had. So it's
Okay.
probably been about 6 or 7 years that I know them.
Wow.
Pretty close with them, but yeah.
Okay.
I want to ask you something that might be a little bit more personal.
Hmm.
That's how are young people coping now with 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 dating? Have you heard anything? What maybe from your friends or any personal experience that you can share? Because that's population needs to continue to move forward,
Right.
and it is up to you, young people, to create the next set of human beings. How is this thing affecting you all, and how are you able to connect you know, with each other, perhaps to sort of keep things a little bit as normal as possible?
Well, okay. Honestly, dating wasn't really great during the pandemic. I know personally for myself, I know it wasn't great, but as well as my friends, I know my friends were texting me like, it's so hard to be dating somebody during the pandemic, especially if you guys have separate lives or if one of you is working, the other is not, it
Mm.
gets really difficult. So, really in our generation we rely on social media.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. Like that's how everyone is speaking to each other. It's like all about Instagram, all about Facebook. That's how we connect with each other. So uh it sucks because sometimes I say I was born in the wrong generation. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything, like I said, is just Instagram, Instagram, Instagram. That's how you speak. And people don't like go out on dates anymore. So it's like the pandemic really, really made that not happen at all because you're not able to go out. Everything is closed. You're not able to go out to eat or, get to know someone, take them to the movies. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to just rely on social media in order for you to connect with somebody, which is really not great.
Yeah. So it seems like it pushed the clock forward instead of backwards.
Back,
And
right.
it's funny because like all the time that I spent with her, Sensei, I just didn't realize like how much stuff we had in common. And it's been a blessing honestly to have her here. To get to know her, because she was here before. I think she visited us like a couple years ago, but it was
Mhm.
different, you know. And I think we had just gotten here, so we were still learning, where to go and what to do. And I think she had a better time this time around. I think it's just been a lot of fun. But I can attest to that. I feel like in the same way as you, I feel like and I think Sensei too. We're used to like interacting with people face to face as
Right.
opposed to like doing Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Like I do it, but I still it's not the same feeling, as being in person. Like, with you right now, like this is awesome that I get to spend this quality time with you because I know once you go back, I may not get that,
Right.
So that's why I try to respect the time that we have together and do as much as we can. I think that's important, right, Sensei?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, there's no substitute for human connection. And although the social the media platforms that we have in place, it's an aid, but it is not definitely not what is needed when it comes to creating the true foundation from within.
Right.
So how, is there a way? Do you are young people perhaps coming up with, besides the social media, any other creative ways to try to come up with ways to maybe, I don't know, meet but keep distance? I don't know. Is there anything like that? I know, for example, me. I mean, I I've been hit hard too, Destiny. Things have been tough after the pandemic, but somehow I try to, like, I went hiking yesterday, as I mentioned to you before the prior to the show, um, and, and we had a group of about maybe 7 people. It was 7 of us, so it wasn't a large group. It was just 7 of us, and we kept our distance, and we walked and we talked while keeping distance and keeping our masks on. um, is there anything like that that perhaps you guys are trying to make an effort, perhaps maybe take a walk around the park, something like that, or is that too scary right now for you? I know, for example, my daughter is a little bit older than you. She is 25. She's going to be 26 next month, and she doesn't want to go nowhere. She's pretty scared, and I respect that. So I'm just curious, if maybe your generation is going through something as similar as that.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, me and my friends at the beginning of the pandemic before it got really serious, we did meet up a few times. We would always do like these picnics in the park, obviously like, protecting ourselves, mask, social distance. But I also feel like what comes into play is just you start getting used to being home so much and
Mm,
being isolated that we begin to get lazy. We don't
right.
even want to try and go
Mhm.
out. It's not that we're really scared in a sense. It's just like, I've just been home for so many days. Like, what's the point of me going out today? Like, we don't have any motivation for that. Everything's at home now. We're at school at home. Most people are working from home. So it's like, to go outside, what do I need to go outside for? That's really what it is now.
Yeah, that's interesting because I would think maybe like bike rides. People want to do bike rides, but I know New York is a bit different, especially depending where you are.
Hmm.
Right.
And I know you've done a lot of walks, Sensei.
Right. Yeah. I've been trying to keep my walks during the winter, and now I'm super excited because today is like 70 degrees here in New York, and I'm really excited about going for my bike rides pretty soon. So that's really great. So, but let me ask you this now, with you being scared, everyone not trying to get us motivated.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel like, as a young lady, do you feel that this may be affecting you? Because I know I'm a little bit more sensitive towards this. Like, I can feel like my mental health can be affected by this, and because I feel that my mental health being affected by it, I take efforts to balance my mental health by just at least taking a walk, taking a bike ride, or taking a hike. Um, are you guys perhaps creating some kind of an outlet besides social media to to manage your mental health during these difficult times?
Yeah, so honestly, I did fall into like kind of a depression during the pandemic because like I said, I don't have my friends around me all the time. I was at the beginning I was just working a lot, so I was
Hmm.
just like not used to having other people's company for a while. I just felt really alone. So a big thing right now for my generation is everyone is starting their own small business, which
Hmm.
brings me into the hookah
Yeah.
stuff that's happening. So I actually got inspired because my friends started to do hair. During the pandemic, hair salons are closed, nail
Mm.
salons are closed, things like that. So actually, a few of my friends picked up some small businesses.
Mm.
So I have a friend who does lashes. I have a friend who does nails. I have this other friend. He started doing like graphic design on T-shirts and
Mm.
clothes. Started making sweatsuits. So now everybody is trying to find a hobby to do, and that's also how we've been trying to communicate and connect with each other because with all these small businesses, now this young generation, we're doing pop-up shops all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's socially distancing, but we're still engaging with others, connecting with others, seeing what other people are doing with their small business. So I feel like that was helping a lot.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
so we're going to have a new generation of entrepreneurs rising from the ashes. I think
Right.
that sounds fantastic.
yeah, that seems like one of the pros, I guess, for maybe social media is that, it may feel like people are closing themselves in, but at the same time, they're trying to use that energy to find other outlets for themselves, like, these different types of skills that maybe they didn't have before and they were trying to pick up. I know for me, it's just been trying to do like and get better at like home improvement, things. So I've
Mhm.
done a lot of stuff out here that I've mentioned to you, Sensei, and she got a chance to see some of the stuff that I did, and I'm really proud of that stuff, and I'm proud of you guys too in terms of like the stuff that you did, and I was just like really amazed, when you were telling me about hookah, because I just smoke it, like that's it,
You didn't
like
know all the
I didn't,
fundamentals.
yeah, I didn't know all the like the fine little details to it, Sensei, and it was great, to learn from somebody younger, that is picking that up because I know, like I think like the last or the second time before I came to New York, Sensei, and I think I came to visit you. I was surprised at how many hookah places you guys have, and not only that, like you can go to the deli and get one of
And
those
buy one.
like
Mhm.
yeah and buy one. So it's amazing to see, all these little things that everybody's trying to do, with
Yeah, I
themselves.
mean, we're trying to do this thing now, so too, Master Roshi, we're trying to get this channel started as well. So I guess we're part of that new entrepreneur spirit as well. That we've been catching the bug on that also. Um, so as you move forward and as we move forward into this pandemic, and hopefully it seems like the vaccines are becoming a little bit more available. It seems like we may be reopening pretty soon. Um, what are your feelings about this? Perhaps in order for you to prepare to either be isolated or in quarantine for another year, or perhaps addressing the fact that we may be going back.
Well, I feel like it's just been so long that a lot of us are just used to it right
Hmm.
now. So we're not, it sucks because a lot of people who are younger don't always have that hope. Like, things are
Hmm.
going to get better. Like, we're going to get out of this pandemic.
Right.
The way that things are looking, it's like a lot of things are not opening back up. Things
Hmm.
are shutting back down that were open up. Capacities are changing now. So it's like, it's something that we can already see happening.
Hmm.
We're going backwards as opposed to going ahead. And honestly, I just feel like I've been in it for so long. I'm just so used to, like, sometimes I have my mask on all day. I forget to take it off. I'm like, I can't, like, now I can't imagine us not wearing masks. Like, that's our new normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I can definitely sense the flux in what she's saying because like we went to Atlantic Station, and I was surprised at like all the changes that happened to that place. There's a bunch of businesses that are still closed over there, Sensei. There's some that are trying to like come up, and some that will never come back,
Well,
based on what I saw.
Right.
And you're in New York, so obviously you get sort of the grounds, and you too, Sensei, you get that ground sort of like experience of what it is. And New York is a big city. It's not like Atlanta where it's kind of spread out, so you get more of a pulse,
Right.
right, for how things are going. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. So hopefully, I think as I mentioned to you, Sensei, like the vaccine is going to be much more available, and so it's going to be interesting to see if it can come back, better and faster. But only time will tell.
Right.
yeah, one of my challenges right now for me is getting into a crowded subway. Like right now, the subway is not crowded. It feels awesome. Everybody's keeping distance. But if we go back to work, the trains are going to get crowded again.
Yeah.
Right.
And considering that now I've been in quarantine for a year, and I'm getting accustomed, just like Destiny has gotten accustomed right alongside with her friends of being at home. I think it's affecting me too, and I don't know if I might feel anxiety now getting
Hmm.
into a crowded subway. You know, uh, Getting into a crowded classroom, getting into a crowded business or elevator or any of that. So it should be interesting how a social norm, the changes of it, and how we're going to deal with this. I know when I was having a conversation, the last time I had a conversation with my daughter, one of the things that she said is that she used to love concerts.
Mm.
And she says, I don't think I'll ever go back to a concert.
Right. It's scary.
So even though we're going to try to come back to some kind of normality, I don't know if people are going to be ready to go back to a stadium and watch a game.
Right.
I don't think if people are going to be ready to, get back in the crowded subway or in a crowded business environment. So that should be really interesting in how we're going to go back. And if we do go back, are we going to be wearing our masks even though we're vaccinated? Are we going to the normal business practice or etiquette um, is to shake hands when we meet. Um, are we going to be shaking hands, or is that going to be a taboo now? Are we just going to like? Is that going to be the new high?
Yeah.
Just a head nod, yo, what's up, and keep it walking. I don't know. So it should be interesting to see how this is going to affect all our generations, including including children. I mean, children. I see that the younger you go, I think the more impactful it is. Because that's where the foundation comes from. Right now, Destiny. You're in your early 20s. This is the foundation of your 20s, and these 20s are going to dictate your 30s. Um, so it should be interesting how this, if you're not aware of it, how it can impact you either positively or negatively as you continue to age. Because I think I'm not an expert, but I think perhaps some of us might need a little bit of therapy when we go back, depending on where we may be in our
Psyche.
in our mental health.
Yeah, definitely. Like, how do you feel like this is gonna change your psyche? In terms of like this transition that we're gonna go back into.
I feel like it has impacted mental health just in general,
Hmm.
like greatly. Um, Sometimes I find myself in an awkward situation, like to approach people. Like
Mm.
now, it's kind of different for me being in Atlanta because, like I said, we don't have this freedom in New York like
Yeah.
we used to. So we're not able to just go out and speak to people or meet people
Hmm.
like you guys are. Being that not everything is open, but I feel like you guys have more variety out here.
Hmm.
So I think it's gonna be a little bit hard because I'll probably be a little more socially awkward now. Like I don't
Hmm.
know how I'm gonna approach someone. I don't know how someone else is gonna think of me approaching them or
Yeah.
speaking with people. I don't know if people, like you said, I don't know if someone's gonna want to shake my hand or me and my friends we give each other hugs when we say hi. Or Spanish people we give each other a kiss on the cheek. Like how is all of that gonna be? So I think anxiety is definitely gonna be a big thing if we do start to open up and everything goes back to I guess normal how it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see like how like because when you're younger, like those small encounters matter because you just never know what that can turn into, whether it's a business opportunity or like a personal opportunity. So if you're dating or you're trying to date or like you're out in the market and stuff like that, and you want to talk to someone, how different is that going to be now? Like, are they going to be like, hey, before I can talk to you, like I
A
need a
COVID
COVID, yeah,
response.
like like I need to see some
Yeah.
some paperwork, which is kind of funny because like almost like STDs and things like that.
Yeah.
Some people have those requirements like before we do anything. Like I gotta see what you're what you're up to. So yeah, I could see like how difficult that could be as we move back to normal hopefully. So I could definitely see that. What about you, Sensei?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Master Roshi. But now I'm curious, because one of the things that we like to do in some of our shows is provide some kind of guidance, after our conversation. And I'm just curious, Destiny, what is there any kind of tips, any kind of guidance that you can provide to other awesome young people like yourself, or even younger, or even some Generation Xers just like myself, in order to keep everyone, you know, stable and continuing to stay focused and moving forward during these difficult times.
I would advise people to try and learn something new.
Hmm.
Maybe try to find a new hobby. Try to get into some new activities, maybe things you would have never done before the pandemic.
Right.
Like I probably would have never thought of opening up a business or doing any small business opportunities, but like I said, being that there's no other option during a pandemic, I started to expand and be like, hey, like what if I did this? Like, how much money could I make, or how would other
Mm,
people interact with me?
right.
So, I think right now is a great opportunity for people in my generation or even your generation to find that small thing that can contribute to you, but can also help other people.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Sensei, because I think one of the things that we have all discussed at some point, maybe not together, has just been like, and me and Sensei have joked about this, right? Because like things have slowed down to the point where you're home, right? And so like, you're coming into this, or you came into this pandemic, and things were moving so fast, whether your career or your personal life, and now things have slowed down, and then when you're coming out of it, Sensei, I kind of joke with you, and I don't know if you said it or I did, but it was just like, what the hell have you been up to? Like, if you were the same person before,
Before.
and now you're coming out of this after, like, what have you been doing?
Hmm.
Have you just been doing the same thing? Have you not grown? So I think that, one of the things coming out of this is going to be that people are going to have like bigger expectations of you, and I think that is definitely warranted coming out because like we want to know what you've been up to, have you just been doing nothing like, so I could see how we're gonna put some value on that, coming out of it.
I agree.
Because I think what you say is been the hiking, and keeping active and doing the pull-ups that you do and
No, absolutely. I mean, that's my gateway to my mental health is physical activity. We're doing this now, Roshi, Master Roshi, and one of the things that I also do is I do a lot of audibles. So I'm constantly, and during my walks, I've gone through several books already. Because truthfully, I love music, but I'm also tired of listening to music too, because
hmm
everything is just it's just so I feel like my brain needs some kind of activity. So the fact that I'm learning through these books, through some self-help books, it's helping me stay somewhat sane during
yeah.
during these things. Because when we have conversations, we're growing because there's checks and balances. I might say something to you, Master Roshi, or you, Destiny, and you might say, wait a minute, no, that's crazy. That's checks and balances. Because, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was crazy, but now I know it is.
Right.
Uh, but when you're alone, you're always right. That's,
That's true.
so you don't want to come out of this, you know, like a totally different person where you're just gone through this world of thoughts without any checks and balances. So by having these books that I go through, it keeps me balanced within and humane and within my humanity.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know there's been things that like I didn't have the time to do before, and now I'm finding myself with a little more time, like picking
Hmm.
up books. I try to move away from like actual physical books and more like digital books. Because I'm always on my phone. I'm sure you're on your phone a lot too. So those have been some of the things that I've done, a little bit differently. But so yeah, so that's kind of a little bit what I've been up to. Not kind of getting off the path, but yeah.
Cool.
So, so yeah, I mean, I think this has been a great episode so far. I think that was some great information that you can give to people. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to, speak to the audience about, that maybe they should know, coming from you, especially, that's been going through this at all?
Yeah, I just feel like everyone should just expand your horizons, I guess. Like I've learned a couple of new skills I didn't even know I had as
hmm
far as like small business goes. Yeah, I know you mentioned like reading books before.
hmm
I was really busy. I didn't have enough
Yeah.
time. So
hmm
with being, at home, working from home, school from home, all I can do is pick up a book now. I wouldn't
hmm
be able to do that before. So in a sense, it helped me a little bit because honestly, our younger generation, like I said, we're always on our phones, all about
Yeah.
social media. We don't really have that time, or we don't really try to invest our time to go and pick up a book or try to learn new things. So I feel like
hmm
now that we have more time on our hands, it'll be easier for us to do such things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's why like people like have been investing a lot more.
Mhm.
I don't know if you noticed this wave of like younger people, like with GameStop and all the activity that happened with that. And like while she was here, Sensei, I tried to teach her a little bit about like investing and why it's so important, you know. And with us, like we're not the only ones doing these podcasts. A lot of people have blown up, as a result of this. It's definitely taken a form of its own.
Yeah, no, and I'm really excited where this is gonna go, um, and see where all these new businesses are gonna be flourish in the next year. So that should be very very interesting of how our society might move forward into more entrepreneur spirit as we move forward.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm really excited about like how this hookah thing, with you takes off, and just see where that goes, and all the other great things that you're gonna be able to do, because like I think at the end of the day you don't want to sit on your butt.
Right.
Like one of the things that came out of this was, the rental property that you got a chance to see that I've been kind of referencing, and I might do a tour there one of these days, for the podcast Sensei before my tenants move in, which is actually some good news. It's looking very, very promising. I think I mentioned it to you
Mhm.
earlier. So, I think the most important thing to take away from this time that we have is to use it.
Right.
Use it because
Use
we're
it
not going to get it
wisely.
back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, so there you have it. I think the tips that we got from Destiny are excellent, and I love the fact that young people are not giving up; they're pushing through,
Mm.
and uh, and after this is over, hopefully we'll see a new generation being born after this, because I'm sure that young people are going to want to embrace once again, and 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 be together once again, and as it should be. I was young, and at 22, I don't know how I would have handled something like this, because I was a very active young man, and I loved girls, and and I still do. But at 22, it was a whole new different energy, and to put that energy at halt and let that energy just sort of simmer,
Hmm.
could have been probably difficult for me. So the fact that young people right now are finding ways to, even though this energy cannot be used in this way, then perhaps I'm using this energy to go about it this way until I can go this way.
Right.
Right.
I think it sounds very promising. I feel much better now that we had this conversation, because, as you know, Master Roshi, I mentioned to you that I was a little worried about, the new generation of how we're coping, and hearing this from you now, it gives me a lot more pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm glad you can rest at ease now a little bit, Sensei. And
Yes, yes, absolutely.
that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Making
Yes,
sure,
yes.
man. You know. But yeah, I love having you on. No, I'm not only saying that because she's my cousin, but she's fantastic. She really
Oh,
is.
thank you. I
She's
want
so
to thank you
smart.
guys for having me. I would love to be on again if you guys give me the
No,
chance. I'm trying
absolutely.
to visit more, or even if from New York, if we can do maybe a three-way, I can
Hmm.
definitely tune in and do that too. This was really fun. I had a good
Yeah,
time.
I'm trying to keep her, man. I'm trying to keep her here, but
No,
I can't
absolutely.
get the energy.
And I would love to follow up with you, in the future, and see how you're coming along,
Yeah.
and how you and your friends, not just you, but you and your friends, are still pushing through this.
And I'm gonna blast your Instagram on the episode, but if you want to shout it out to people and what the best way is, for your business or whatever you wanna give out, now's the time to do
Okay, so my personal Instagram, usually that's where all the fun happens. You see all my, my personal life,
I'm not
as
invited to
well as
that. I'm
my
not invited to
business.
that.
On social media, it'll be underscore Des, that's DESS, Marie with three E's, that's MARIEE. And then my business page for my hookah, you could just look it up at Hookah Girls.
Okay.
And then it's actually Subshow Shisha.
Mm-hmm.
That's really our name. It's
You
me and my friend who
want to spell
started this
that? Want to
business.
spell that?
Oh, but they can just search Hookah
Okay.
Girls and you'll find it. That's the easier way for
Okay.
everyone to look for it. So I hope, people will tune in and see what a young entrepreneur looks like and
Absolutely.
starting.
Awesome. Awesome.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, Destiny. I really enjoy meeting you and I really enjoy having you here with us.
It was great to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
everybody. And we will see you next week as usual. We'll always have great content for you. Thank you so much
Yes.
for listening to the Middle
And
Agenda
don't
Podcast.
forget to press that like button, everyone,
Absolutely. And subscribe. All
and
right. Thank you.
subscribe.